This is the TRU Leader Podcast. Today, our special guest is Dr. John Chuck. John is a physician who has committed his practice and his life to wellness and joy. He has a lot of pearls of wisdom to share with us, so stay tuned.
Welcome to the TRU Leader Podcast. I'm Dr. Tracy Christofferson.
And I'm Michelle Trosett.
We are life and business besties, leadership coaches and mentors, and polarity intelligence experts. We're the authors of Polarity Intelligence, The Missing Logic in Leadership, and co-founders of Missing Logic.
We are here to help high-achieving leaders break through leadership norms that cause them suffering at work and home. If you're looking to elevate your leadership, increasing your productivity, effectiveness, and impact, and manage your health and well-being, spend quality time with those you love, and live your best life, then you are in the right place.
Our goal in this podcast is to equip you with new ways of thinking and practical and tactical strategies for succeeding at work and thriving in life. Think of this podcast as your weekly dose of personal and professional development so you can reach your full leadership potential, create a life you love, and be what we are calling a thriving, resilient, and unstoppable or true leader.
If you are ready to learn and laugh a little, let's get started.
Welcome, everybody, to another incredible episode of the TRU Leader Podcast with your co-hosts, Tracy and Michelle.
Yes, we welcome you to a fantastic show today.
You think so?
I think so.
Just fantastic?
More than fantastic.
Extraordinary. A lot of laughs in this one, folks.
My belly's still hurting.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, it was really a phenomenal interview with our very special guest. And oh my gosh, just we really are kindred spirits, and just a lot of synergy in the work that we do and who we are and what we believe. And it was just really great.
Yeah.
It was really, really, really a powerful conversation.
And this was a relationship that just started a couple months ago.
Yeah, we met him at 1440 Multiversity in near Santa Cruz.
Yeah, we were both there leading some work, and we were talking about Dr. John Chuck, and we just thought he was awesome then, and we said, hey, come be on our podcast with us.
Well, just, he's a Lions fan, so anybody that's a Lions fan is going to be on our podcast. Right. That cinched it right there.
It did. And he's from California, but he knew all about the Lions.
Yeah. Well, he follows Jared Goff.
That's right.
Yeah. It's got a little history there. So, yeah, but great guy, great messages, great conversation, a lot of laughs, worth listening to, and share it with your friends.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that on the front end.
Yeah, you are going to enjoy this episode. So let me introduce you to John Chuck, MD. John is a family physician and wellness consultant for healthcare professionals. He is the former regional chairperson of the Physician Health and Wellness Leaders Group for the Permanente Medical Group based in Oakland, California. And in that role, he helped to shape the conversations, culture, and operations that drove the total performance of 10,000 physician colleagues in North California. He also has worked with multiple medical groups and health specialties on well-being. His areas of interest include work-life balance, values congruent living, resilience training, and servant leadership. He has summarized many of his teachings in a book called Pearls of the Practice of Life, A Family Physician's Guide to Struggle Less and Thrive More. John is a graduate of UC Berkeley and the UCLA Medical School of Medicine, and did his family medicine residency at the UC Davis Medical Center. In 1999, he and his wife founded the Serotonin Surge Charities, a 503c nonprofit organization that has raised over $5 million for safety net medical clinics. He is a senior fellow at the American Leadership Forum and a UC Davis Foundation trustee emeritus. His work has been recognized with the Sidney Garfield Exceptional Contribution Award from the Permanente Medical Group and the Outstanding Alumnus Award from the UC Davis Alumni Association. And without further ado, here is our interview with John Chuck. Well, welcome, John, to the TRU Leader Podcast. Tracy and I are so excited to have you on our show. So welcome.
Super happy to be here. Thanks so much for inviting me. When we met in California a few months ago, I was instantly drawn to your love of the Detroit Lions. We share that love. And on my calendar, for a couple of months, I've had podcasts with a dynamic duo on there for a long time. So very much looking forward to this. So happy to be here with you. Love your neon light and your set. And most of all, love your t-shirt. So go Lions.
Go
see
Lions.
you in New Orleans for the Super Bowl.
That's right. We're going to be there.
That's
right. It's our
Put
year.
it on our calendar.
That's
Put it
right.
on our calendar.
That's right. We'll have a big party.
Well, John, when we met you, we had the opportunity to hear you speak, and we're just kindred spirits. Love your spirit, and of course, we have a lot of things we really care about in the same light. And one of them is work-life balance. And so, can you just start out by telling our listeners why you're so committed to work-life balance?
Well, I'm a smorgasbord sort of person, and I think that living a life of balance is what allows you to eat from everything at the smorgasbord. When you lead a balanced life, it sets you up for being connected with yourself, and your emotional life, with others, which is I call your social life, and then with the divine, which is your spiritual life, and it puts you in the best position to actually find your meaning and purpose in life. So. Yeah, I just like to see people, touch on as many things as possible before they leave planet Earth. And that's what a balanced life allows you to do. And then I think also, we often learn our greatest lessons by doing something wrong first. And of course, as a pre-med, I started out leading a very imbalanced life. In high school and college, my only goal was to get into medical school. And so I always joke that while everybody else was backpacking in Europe and smoking dope and figuring out the meaning of life and how to lead a balanced life, I was studying for the MCAT exam. So, I did it the wrong way. And then, later on in life, I discovered that I really need to balance things out if I want to stay happy and married and have my kids know my name. So I found a better way. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, yeah,
that's
for sure.
great. It's great. Well, Tracy and I are always talking about busting leadership norms of not having balanced life. And I'm just curious what your thoughts are about having work-life balance as maybe a new norm for leaders.
Well, I've always thought that the best leaders, the leaders who I aspire to be like, in their perspectives and behaviors, they've been people with work-life balance. I'm sure there are other great leaders out there who don't have work-life balance, but I've never aspired to be like them. So I think that a leader who has work-life balance, they're more authentic, they're more relatable. I think in general, they might have more, integrity and more sustainability in their leadership. And I love leaders who are in positions for a long time. I'm not a huge fan of the, slash and burn leader, here for a year and a half and then gone. So that's just my personal preference. I'm not a businessman primarily. I only know medicine really, but I just like leaders who can keep it going and model for other people how to have a balanced life. And I think, leadership comes from the top and people are paying attention, not just to what the leader says, but what the leader does. And so that I'm a huge fan of that. And I think that, the leaders who will take us to a better tomorrow are the ones who have balance, work-life balance.
Yeah. And I think, we're just striving to have every leader be that way. They're few and far between, it seems like these days. So that's awesome. Well, as Michelle mentioned, we just have so much synergy and alignment in our work. And, we recently wrote a book, and then we found out you had written a book as well.
Yours is much better. I'm sure yours is much better, but yes. I did squeeze one out.
Yeah, and we loved it. It's the pearls from the practice of life, a family physician's guide to help you struggle less and thrive more. And we each got a copy of it, and we've been plowing through it. It's fabulous. So tell our audience a little bit about this book that's just jam-packed with all these little pearls of wisdom that you have come to know over the years?
Right. So I enjoyed like a 34-year career as a family physician, and I like to think of myself as a clearinghouse for good advice about how to live a long, productive, and healthy life. And of course, I had all my traditional training in medicine. And then I did a lot more research about wellness as a leader in physician health and wellness, because over half of America's physicians are burned out, and they're very stuck up and arrogant about who they take advice from. So I really had to bone up on wellness and burnout issues. And then last but not least, I had the privilege of learning from my patients and colleagues and friends and families, like, how to do things right and wrong in life. I had the privilege of having a lot of end-of-life discussions with my patients where they would kind of take a final tally of what worked and what didn't. Yeah. And so I feel like I got the inside scoop on maybe some people who could serve as blueprints for the rest of us trying to lead our best lives. So at the end of my career, I took about 6 months to jot down all the greatest learnings that I had gathered over the years. And after 6 months, I turned to my wife and I said, I'm done. I've got 69 chapters of, pearls of wisdom to pass on. And she said, 69? Like, you can't go to press with 69. Do you know what 69 means? I said, yeah, but it's not necessarily a bad thing, is it? So anyway, so I think I told you, I spent 3 or 4 days trying to write a 70th chapter. And I'm a horrible golfer, but I love the game. And so it was going to be a chapter about how golf is the best metaphor for life. But it just didn't rise to the level of the other 69 chapters. So I just went to print with 69. And that it's just pearls. And then, some people read it start to finish. Like, my daughter's actually a learning and development specialist at LinkedIn. She's a professional teacher. And so she read it, start to finish on a flight back from Hawaii. And she says, Dad, I'm shocked. It actually has a lot of good stuff in it. Like what happened? But my friend Christine Olson, who she's the chief wellness officer at Yale, the nice comment she wrote on the back of the book jacket was, you might want to use it as a daily devotional, because there are 69 very short chapters, but my wife, and very simply written. I grew up with the San Francisco Chronicle, which I believe is written at the 6th grade level. So my writing is pretty much at the 6th grade level. So my wife said, yeah, the stories are short and they're simple, but the topics are kind of profound. So maybe taken as a daily devotional is one way you can do it.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. And I love how you started it out. Like, I want this to be a conversation with you. Like, we're in this beautiful space, right? A long, lazy little lunch, right? And just having conversation. I just love how you set the tone for that, and then invited people as well to get quiet. Yeah. And to do a little breathing exercise and just kind of sink into what you're about to experience. And I love that you also said, maybe someday we will actually be in a conversation. So here we are.
And here we are. Oh, okay. So can I make a comment about the introduction? So I had about 6 editors, including like a local sports writer. My brother, who's a brother-in-law is a scientific writer. He publishes in the New England Journal and everything. And I also had a colleague's husband who was a former writing professor at Princeton. So anyway, I get all this feedback and stuff. And as you know, as authors, you just kind of have to make the final decision about, what's going to make it and not. But my brother-in-law, who's just a great scientific writer, he read the introduction and he said, you can just scrap this thing. He goes, it's kind of irrelevant. But the Princeton writing professor, he said, oh, this is perfect. This completely... It's the best introduction and sets people up for what the book is. So anyway, I like the introduction. I think it's a good story, and it kind of, it sort of gets people prepared. And I do love the whole. I'm an imagery person, so I love the concept of we're kind of sitting at Chez Panisse Cafe in Berkeley, and it's just a lazy lunch, and literally. We've been there so long that the server's coming by and saying, would you like to see the menu again? And it's like, it's just relaxed. Kind of like our little podcast here. This is wonderful.
Yeah. I love that. And I like, too, how you brought out that you might push some buttons, right? There might be some contradictions that you see in there. And life is full of contradictions. And what we know about things that tend to be contrary is sometimes they're polarities and they're really interdependent pieces. And so I was kind of looking at some of the different topics that you talk about and the contradictions or polarities that are present in there.
Yeah.
So I loved it. And I thought it was really a great way to kind of invite people into the depth of what's there.
We're just like soulmates, okay? We're soulmates. We're Lions fans. I mean, our families should intermarry or something. But you know,
I think so.
Yeah,
who do we got left?
Right.
Who needs?
Who's still available? So, but for instance, as you know, the first chapter is called "Wired at Birth," right? And it talks about how our genetics set certain floors and ceilings for us. But I think some people misinterpret that, and they think, no, everybody's capable of everything, which is just not true, right? That being said, the second chapter is, choice, trumps circumstances. So yeah, given whatever your floors and ceilings are, do your best within that window, right? I mean, that's your calling in life. That's all you can do. And then feel great about it. It's not an issue of just giving out trophies to everybody who tries. But really just like applaud people and applaud yourself for doing the best given whatever your genetics are. It's like I went to college and I kind of look like this, like out of shape and weak and skinny. And I said, I went to Cal and I saw these like football players there, the cornerbacks in particular, that they were just chiseled. I said, I'm just going to go to the gym and lift weights and I'm going to look like that. And like 6 months later, I'm lifting weight. I look the same. And I thought, oh my God, what is wrong here? Right. So I was living under this misconception, but if I had read Pearls from the Practice of Life, I would have known, I just hit my genetic ceiling. Anyway, another reason I wrote the book was there are all these essential truths in life, but I just didn't see any books out there that summarize them. So anyway, I shot my wad and now I can die, knowing that the little bit that I know is published and, 3 or 4 people will read about it. So, okay.
Yeah. I bet there'll be more.
Yeah. We just really loved the whole thing. And you know what I love too is I loved how, speaking of your wife, how you just dropped your wife Leslie's pearls of wisdoms and different stories. I just got such a kick out of that. And they were really wise words that she shared. And for example, in one chapter, you describe what Leslie calls making a pretend decision. And that kind of grabbed my attention. Oh, a pretend decision. What's that? And leaders make decisions every day. So there's many Leslie moments in your book, but can you just describe that, what making a pretend decision means?
Absolutely, positively. First of all, my wife, Leslie, is wonderful. She's the exact opposite of me. Like I was born optimistic. She was born questioning. I was once standing in a bookstore reading this book called Pessimisms, and it was full of Woody Allen type things like, life is horrible and then you die. So I'm reading this book wondering, oh my God, why would they even write this and who would buy it? And she's peering over my shoulder saying, oh my God, that's exactly how I think. In any event, I like to, as a doctor, think that I know a lot, but Leslie actually does know a lot. And, I'm not just saying these nice things because she'll probably listen to this podcast and I want her to like me, but she's a gem. So right. So one of the things that I write about is how Leslie advised me and others to make pretend decisions. So many of us as leaders in particular have problems with decision paralysis, right? Like, we're the leader. We have to make a huge decision. We usually make this gigantic mistake of doing it in a vacuum. And then when the deadline comes, we announce it. And then we deal with all the consequences of our regret and all the negative feedback. Okay. So Leslie has this idea that rather than, do that over and over again until the day you die and be miserable, she goes, why don't you just make a pretend decision? So for example, it's a big deal in America where people go to college and people are wrought, with distress about this. And oftentimes, they make the announcement to family and friends, and then they get the feedback from everybody, and they feel a certain way, and they're full of regret. So for example, on that decision, what you can do is you can do your whole decision thing, which I highly suggest. First, you have the big spreadsheet, and you have all the factors that you're going to use, and then you quantify each one, and then you come up with a numerical score. Okay, so that's step one. Step two is you just have to do your Gestalt gut check, like what do you feel like you should do. But anyway, so you do those first 2 steps. And then, like, for instance, a week before you have to announce where you're going to college, you just share your pretend decision, your preliminary decision. Although you don't tell them it's preliminary. You say, hey, I've decided that I'm going to, go to San Francisco State, right? And then you share it among your little close circle of friends. and you look for the feedback, and you also see how you feel in response to their response, right? And it's like a little trial balloon. And I think that leaders, hopefully leaders, are not working in isolation. They have a little intimate circle, and they can kind of run this pretend decision by them before the big announcement, and then also run it by some trusted people outside of your work world and see what they think, right? And then that way, when you do make your final announcement and decision, there will be less surprise among others and yourself. So anyway, it's another great Leslieism. And I've definitely practiced that, and it's saved me a lot of heartache and, embarrassment. make pretend decisions. Okay. But the other one I have to mention that Leslie said is, can I mention the one about friends?
Yes.
Okay. So
the pallbearer friends.
Yeah. Okay. So you're right. I think there's a chapter titled something like the pallbearer friends. So over 30 years ago, my wife met some nice women through the firstborn, kids training class, and then the husbands became friends. Then we started playing, poker every month. So we've been doing it for over 30 years now. Now maybe every other month or so. Anyway, but I'm a Chinese liberal family doctor, and all these guys are white Republican male businessmen, like all of them. And then there's me. Okay. So anyway, we play poker, but they're all the political conversations and the cussing and swearing and drinking and stuff. And after many years, I said, honey, I got to get out of this poker group. Like they're just so unlike me, And my wife, who always enjoyed me leaving for the poker game because it freed her up to do what she likes to do in life, she said, you might want to reconsider that. And I thought she was just being selfish, like she didn't want me home. But she says, John, if you were only friends with people who are just like you would have no friends. And I thought, oh my God, she's right, and then actually, and say, for instance, you were friends with people who are just like you. How boring would that be? I mean, talk like burn.
Yes.
So anyway, these friends over 30 years, despite our political and financial differences, and they drink and I don't. I mean, we're the dearest of closest best friends. I mean, they're literally will be my pallbearer buddies. Actually, I'm going to be cremated, so they'll carry my little ashes. But anyway, and as proof of that, a few years ago, one of them asked me to officiate his daughter's wedding. And as I was officiating it on the beachfront in Santa Barbara, as I write about in the book, I looked over to Jamie, and he had the biggest smile on his face, proud papa and everything. And it was just beautiful.
It gave me goosebumps.
That's such a wonderful story.
Yeah, it is such a great story. All right. Now, I was just super surprised, given that you don't know us, that you wrote a chapter about us in your book. It's called The Real Badasses. How did you know?
Yes, you are too. I should have had in my calendar dynamic badass duo, but yes.
That's right. I love that chapter. And you give examples, right, of leaders who are, and who really know what it is to be, self-compassionate and self-forgiving. And oh boy, we corner the market on that. So just unpack this a little bit for our listeners and what it takes to be a real badass. You tell them.
Okay,
We've been living it, but you tell them
it's really bad language. And my father was a minister for 40 years. He's passed. Otherwise, he'd be very critical of me using that term. But anyway. Of course, I borrowed this from the great Brene Brown, who I'm sure you're huge fans of, and all your listeners are fans of. So Brene Brown, one of my favorite quotes of hers is, "The real badasses are the people who dare greatly and tell the truth about the experience." Right. So a lot of leaders dare greatly. That's a wonderful thing. But I would say that not many great leaders have the confidence or authenticity to tell the truth about the experience, right? And when they don't tell the truth about the experience, it sets up an unhealthy culture and climate at work where it's not safe to talk about what's really important. And as you know, psychological safety and trust is one of the main cultural drivers of wellness in a workforce. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think we need to move past lifting up leaders who try and appear to be picture perfect without any chinks in their armor. I can say things like chinks in their armor because I'm Chinese. Okay. But anyway, so for example, I have a great friend, Rita Ng. Rita's from the Central Valley here in California. She went to Stanford and UCSF and then Cedars-Sinai for a cardiology fellowship. And she's the physician in chief at Kaiser Oakland. And Rita was Miss California. She was in the Miss USA pageant. So she's beautiful. She's smart. She's everything. And she's the supreme leader at a huge medical center, a flagship medical center in Oakland. But Rita is also very active on social media. And Rita talks about all parts of leadership, including being a mother, raising her family, work-life balance, her vulnerabilities, her failures. And it creates this wonderfully inclusive and authentic environment among the entire medical staff at Kaiser Oakland. And it's just wonderful to watch, right? Like you can be a great leader and be authentic and tell the truth about your experience. There are real life, badass leaders out there, but we need more of them, right? Because, she's not the norm, right? But people like her who people admire when they tell the truth about it, then it makes us feel like we can tell the truth about our experience. Right. And exactly. I actually, there might be something in the book about Vivek Murthy, the Surgeon General, when I heard him speak. He said, hey, all of us have imposter syndrome. And I thought, wow, if Vivek Murthy, this super good looking Surgeon General, has imposter syndrome, then I'm okay having it. And then what he said is that it's in those moments of imposter syndrome, especially as leaders, that we need to reaffirm one another. So it's very important for leaders to be in peer groups. I had the benefit of being in this 1-year leadership program called the American Leadership Forum. I think they have different chapters throughout America, but it was me. It was a lot of executive directors of nonprofits. It was statewide elected officials, all this and that, right? Police chiefs, and we would meet monthly, and then we had a 1-week wilderness experience where we got to poop in the woods and everything. But basically, what you learn is that the experience is similar for everybody. It says we can't access your video, and am I freezing on you? Anyway. So one of the things is that about leadership that's playing out with this video glitch is, you know what? Things can go wrong on a video thing. Nobody's going to die. I mean, if you get a freeze frame and looks like I'm having a seizure, who cares, right? I mean, and so this whole thing about trying to be perfect and everything has to be perfect to be good, that's the whole Tolstoy fragility of the good thing. It doesn't have to be perfect to be good. But a lot of leaders, because the way we select leaders, they kind of have this false idea that it's only good when it's perfect. And that's just not reality. And we need to speak out about that in podcasts and in books, to put it in writing so that people get the message. Robbie Pearl, our former executive director in my medical group, said people need to hear things 17 times before they take it to heart, right? Yep. They're still, and even on the 18th time, they're still in the contemplative phase. They still can't poop or get off the pot, but yeah, so you can never say the good things enough times. By the way, I feel like the 69 things I wrote about in the book, they're not just things I heard from one person. It's something that I heard from a person or I read, and I read it from somebody else, and then I saw it out in like my patients' lives. Yep. Those are the 69 things I wrote about. I don't like talking about or recommending things that you just hear from one little article or one person said that those aren't usually real things. They're not vetted, right? But right. I love it when like an atheist and a Jew and a Muslim person all say the same thing. Well, that's an essential truth. That is a winner. Okay, so let's talk more about those and less about the weird polarized idea that's like ripping our nation apart. Like let's Ricky Winardi. This is in the book too. He was our diversity chief at Kaiser in Sacramento. But we sent him to these annual diversity conferences, and when he came back, I always asked him, "Hey, Ricky, can I have a quick summary of what you learned this year?" And he said, "John, this year we learned that diversity is about finding common ground. It's not about figuring out the differences of our skin and our ethnic, and our food and our culture. It's like diversity is about finding common ground, common humanity, and accepting all members, of the group as part of the team. It's like that's diversity."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all about that shared purpose. Why are we all here?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah. So the two, you read philosophers, theologians, everybody. What are the two big things in life? you have to figure out who you are, like in the history of the planet and mankind, who are you? And number two, what's your purpose? Those are the only two questions to answer. And it's not just for leaders, just for human beings. But if a leader has not answered those two questions for herself or himself, there's no way they're going to be an authentic, great leader. It's just, Yeah.
Well, and it's like when you start out the book too, right? These are the things you want to live into.
Yeah.
This is what living into your life really is to live on purpose and to be true to who you are as a person. Right?
Oh my God, it's like we're twins separated. We're triplets separated at birth, the three of us.
I think so.
Because I think one of the things I read about in the book, and I learned this from my dear friend Sherry Pruitt, who wrote, she's a psychologist who's an expert in change. She goes, basically, anybody who leads a values congruent life is leading a great life. Right. Yeah. But in order to live a values congruent life, you have to define what your values are. And then you need to write a mission statement for yourself. And then you need to live your values. And I think I may have told you in private discussion that, I would teach this resilience course along with colleagues. And the person who spoke before me in the series of speakers, they would always do the values inventory and then write a mission statement. And then I would come on and talk about, connections with others and having resilient role models. But anyway, in my introductory remarks, I would say, I hope you enjoyed the earlier sessions. How many of you had done a values inventory and written a mission statement before? And in the several years that I taught this course to over 1,000 physicians, like at most, maybe 10 to 15% of the people would raise their hands. And I thought, how do you become a 59-year-old pulmonologist and have never done a values inventory or a mission statement? Like, how could that be? And then you wonder why are, half of America's physicians burned out? It's because they're not in touch with their values and they don't know what they're actually trying to do. They kind of had blinders on going through all the training and they never step back to think about it. So when I work with burned out people, I just say, I don't know anything you don't know, but I'm going to try and reconnect you with the hope, joy, and meaning that lie within you. Yeah. Because you're leading very distracted, multitasking lives. And we're just going to carve out a time and a space like 1440. What the founders say is that at 1440, things that don't normally happen, they happen here. Because they literally give people a place and a time to get introspective, to connect with themselves, and to get social and reach out and connect with others. Yep. And maybe while walking through the redwoods, get in touch with their spiritual divine self, right? I mean, that's what 1440 is all about. We need to get invited back together on the same weekend.
We do. Yes, we do. Oh, yeah. We should do something together. That would be so awesome. Yeah. Well, we can't get off of this podcast without you talking about your study of cockroaches. I just thought that was
wow.
So awesome.
Well, thank goodness my late mother is not here to hear this because she would roll. Okay, so I grew up in San Francisco's Chinatown, 1134 Jackson, apartment 2. A family of 6 plus my uncle living in a 2-bedroom apartment. And stuff. And I'm sure it's really nice now, but it wasn't in the 60s. So it was the best our family could do. Anyway, so we'd come home at night, you'd flip on the lights, and the kitchen floor was brown, but within 5 seconds, all the roaches scattered and it was white and stuff. Anyway, so I didn't know cockroaches were bad, okay? I thought they were a really badass insect. So when we had show and tell, I think I was in the first grade. We had show and tell, and my friend Vicky Jew, she was so proud. She brought a spider, in a mason jar, with holes poked on top so they can breathe. I brought a cockroach to school because I thought, wow, this thing it's got body armor and stuff like that. This is this is the Megatron of insects, right? Anyway, so I'm so proud. I do the show and tell. I tell all my classmates about the cockroach. And then, I go home and I bring the cockroach and my mother says, "What's that?" I said, "Oh, it was my show and tell." She goes, "What? You brought it?" Okay. So, the whole concept of spirit animals, the eagle is my spirit animal, or I'm a cheetah, growl, or I'm a panther. Well, my spirit animal is the cockroach. Okay. Because, after the big one, what's going to be left, roaming the earth? It's going to be the cockroaches. So
that's right.
So that's the
tough,
deal, my
badasses.
Yeah, they're badasses, man.
They are badasses. I love that.
That's so funny. Oh my gosh.
Great. We touched on the cockroach thing. I mean, that's got to be the highlight of the podcast. That's
I think so. I think that's just,
and for instance, a cockroach would not be at all bothered by the fact that, my Google Chrome is insisting on shutting down. And probably when you go to production, oh my God, his video is so glitchy. Who cares? A cockroach wouldn't care. A strong leader wouldn't care, right?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I'm going to go look at my spirit animal cards and see if the cockroach is in there. And if it's not, I'm going to petition to have the cockroach added to the spirit animal cards.
Oh, yeah. And then if you have to kick off one of the animals in the deck, kick off the sloth or something. Like, get rid of the sloth.
Really?
Who
wants that?
We don't want people to think that's even a possibility. You can't be a sloth.
Heck no.
My God.
No.
Oh gosh.
Oh God, vodka in the morning is excellent. It's 9:30 PST, and just a little bit. It's not a lot.
Yeah.
It's just a little sip will do you.
It'll get you through, doesn't it?
Looks like water. It's the funniest thing.
Well, John, we're ready for our true questions for you now.
Mystery questions.
These are the mystery questions so that our listeners can get to know the real you, although I think they already have.
No.
But we have a couple fun questions for you that you don't know are coming, and we can't wait to hear the answers.
Yeah.
Okay, this is not going to be good. Okay, everything was going okay, and then, okay.
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah, okay. This is chapter 70 and 71.
Yeah, that's right. Here you go. I'm taking notes. I'll write it down.
All right, our first question is, who makes you belly laugh the most and why? There's nothing like a good belly laugh. Who makes you belly laugh the most?
Oh, it's okay. Okay. Martin Short. The guy's the funniest thing, and on SNL there's this skit called The English Doctor, where it's just, you have to watch it. You'll think it's the best bit ever, and he's head and shoulders above Jerry Seinfeld, who I love, and Dave Chappelle, who I also love. It's Martin Short. He's the man. In fact, I talk about the Liger, that composite role model of several people, And he's on my Liger. Martin Short, he's the best.
All right. Now, do you watch Murders in the Building?
No, no. That's with Martin Short and
Steve Martin.
Yeah, Steve Martin. Yes, I watched one episode of that and it didn't quite do it for me. But maybe I should try again.
Watch more.
Watch more?
Is so good.
Okay.
Watch more, because he is fabulous in that.
That's sort of like eating vegetables. At first, they don't seem right. If you just keep eating them, maybe. Okay,
yeah,
I got it. Okay.
You got to let the story kind of play.
Let the story percolate.
You'll like it.
Okay.
Yes, give it a chance.
That was a good question.
Give it a chance.
I had to think about that, but yes. Martin Short, the English Doctor, SNL.
Yeah. All right. Now, our last true question. Now, this is a big one, right? We know the last chapter 70, that never made it in the book, was going to be about golf. So we have to ask, what do you love most about golf?
First of all, can I just say that's a fabulous question? Love it, love it, love it. Okay, so what I love about golf is that it is clearly the best metaphor for life ever. Everything about golf, like every hole's a new hole, so just kind of move on. You swing easier, the ball goes further. You swing down on the ball, it goes higher in the air. And then I also love golf because it's a sport for life. It's a great intergenerational game. Probably one of the best sports experiences I've ever had in my life was playing in Hawaii with my late father-in-law and 2 kids. So, and then also I think the best way to enjoy golf is to set very low standards for yourself. You're not a pro golfer. You're just out there having fun. Shooting 20 over is fabulous. Like if your handicap is anywhere from 15 to 25, you're great and you can fully enjoy it. So yeah, I was going to write about that, but once again, it didn't rise to the level of the other 69. So
We'll see.
I don't know.
Really? Okay.
Maybe we have to co-author that chapter because we love golf too.
love golf.
Do you?
Now my husband would.
Yes.
Yeah. Now my husband would say the best thing about golf is you get to drink and drive and swear and nobody cares.
I like that. I'm going to start drinking more when I play golf. Yeah. It'll be even more pleasurable. But yeah. So this is what we should do. We should look at a map and figure out what's halfway between, where you are in Michigan, where I am, and we'll meet halfway there and we'll play golf. Okay. And it'll be super fun.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Perfect.
All right.
Perfect. And maybe we'll do
a
another
plan.
podcast.
Yeah, that would be super fun. I would love to do that.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's been such a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me.
Really?
It was part of God's providence that we met at 1440 Multiversity, and I love this follow-up, and I look forward to some future collaborations as we just try and help our fellow human beings lead their best lives. And
That's right.
It's all about connection, right? And this is a great connection we're having today.
Yeah. It is. It's been perfect.
Yeah, more pearls of wisdom, and really appreciate the way you bring your message, John, and just who you are as a human being. And it's been a pleasure to have you on our podcast. And I look forward to future collaboration.
Yeah, I love belly laughing. Let's do this again.
We are triplets separated at birth, okay? And it's a lovely thing.
are.
It's too bad it took us 60, well, I won't say how many years. Too bad it took us this long to discover one another again.
To find each other.
But I'm sure that we have decades ahead of us to build this out.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
For sure.
And that's my medical opinion. That's my medical opinion. So there we go.
All right. Okay. There you have it. We have it on camera, recorded.
It's a stone cold lock, ladies and gentlemen. A stone cold lock.
That's right. John says
and
it
one
is
final
the truth.
thing. One final thing. It's the most important thing of our entire recording. Go Lions.
Yes.
Okay. Let's
Lions!
bring home that Super Bowl trophy, baby. Go Lions.
That's right. We're doing it. We might have to suit up, but we're going.
I can see all three of us in jock straps and cups. It's going to be wonderful.
Oh, yeah. Wonderful. Oh, wow. What a great conversation. Thank you so much. And for our listeners, thank you for tuning in and having some laughs with us and learning some of John's pearls of wisdom. We love being here with you every week. If you just were entertained or, got a few bits of wisdom out of our conversation,
Tiny
share
bits,
it with others.
tiny
That just spread the word, right? Just spread the laughter, spread the belly laugh, spread the wisdom, and leave us a review. We love reviews, and make sure that you subscribe, whether it's on your favorite podcast channel or on our YouTube channel. We don't want you to miss any of these incredible episodes and our incredible guests. And, I think that's it for today. We're just happy to be with you. And so until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and keep on laughing.